another edition of the Sports War. And we are back. We got the full crew in the house. That is what it's all about. The Yankees, out of any team in the league, are the best equipped to handle a blow like this.
I think there is a higher power at play here. He's due law of averages. That dude is the ultimate scrub. It's trash. Yeah. Every person you have in there is fucking trash.
Next game, you're going to see a big performance. You can see it in the end of the game, and I'm just totally stoked and excited for this.
And we are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Port. And once again, it is the Barnes and Tony show, the day after the shoe. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, dude. Very tired today, obviously. Not a lot of sleep this weekend, but I'm excited to be here because, last night, although it was amazing, and I would never, obviously you love the episode and everything, but we did only really just talk about the Bills for the most part, a little bit of the Rangers, obviously, but which was great. I mean, the first time we kind of had that type of atmosphere at the Horseshoe, the Bills Mafia, the big game. So it was kind of all dedicated towards that. So I'm excited to go over the rest of what happened, over the course of the weekend, and excited to have you back in studio, dude.
Yeah, good to be back in studio. And I know, we could go back and forth forever, so we're not going to do that. But I did find it interesting, as you were describing last night, you talk about the team that lost in the Bills and not the team that won in the Chiefs. So seems like a little animosity still on your part.
Oh, no, well, first of all, more animosity towards the kicker, honestly, Bass. But I only mentioned the Bills because, I mean, you were the only Chiefs fan in there, dude.
No, there was one.
There was
Michael
one
said,
who
right?
left, I think, at the third quarter or something.
Left a little too early, right?
Yeah, honestly, what the hell is that about, dude?
But and I know, again, we talked about this yesterday, but I know you're harping on Bass, but there was way too much time for the Chiefs to get into position. Bucker, we've seen him make these game-winning kicks in the playoffs time and time again. I mean, they were going to win. I know, yes, nothing's assured, and we did see Bass chunk it. I get it, but we're talking opposite side of the field. We're talking a better kicker. And we're talking Patrick Mahomes, who more than likely could have scored a touchdown in that amount of time. They had timeouts, so I think it was going to happen either way, to be honest.
We would never know, dude.
We would never know, but
We would never know,
I could
dude.
tell.
No one would know. No one would know.
And
no one
I'm
knows.
just, obviously, Tony, I'm always concerned about your well-being. I'm just thinking sleep-wise, obviously, you're due to catch up a little bit.
Yeah.
Schedule today. Anything later on, or you have a chance to go to bed early? Like, what are we talking here?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I got to do today's big laundry day. I got teaching today.
Okay.
So
what time's teaching wrapped up?
2 to 5.
2 to 5. Okay.
Yeah,
Then go home,
go
laundry.
Home,
I say lights
dinner.
out for you 9:30 maximum. Honestly, got to do it. Got to do it. At the end of the day,
we'll see.
Just do it.
And I got to do it. You got to do laundry first. Got to
do
clean
the laundry
a little
first.
bit.
But you'll feel like $1 million tomorrow.
I know. I can't wait.
It'll be like today never happened. Now, any better today than yesterday, or no?
Like feeling wise?
Yeah. Or is it the same thing?
Honestly, right now it's like kind of the same. Dude,
yeah.
Which is pretty crazy.
The tequila.
I wasn't even the drinking, dude. Honestly, I think if anything, the drinking helped me sleep, harder, dude.
Right.
But I mean, it is what it is. We'll get through it.
Yeah. Always do.
How about you? How are you doing with the cold, dude?
Yeah, the cold sucks, but I'm fine. I'm good. I mean, it's just we've been through it before. Definitely don't like it anymore, but it's one of those things. I hate it, but at the same time, it's like I don't really have a problem going through it. I think the only time I would struggle if I had to be outside for an extended amount of time, but being that it's the in, the out, really quick, it's it's tolerable. But I definitely couldn't be outside for an extended period of time. But let's get to the comments.
Of course, dude. We have early and often, as always, Josh B in the house. He says, "Let's go." Tequila is fun. He says, "Picks are interesting. Let's have a Monday." Hashtag company of Jace. Hashtag the sportsport. Hashtag downtime TV. And then Kev do the back-to-back, dude. The 1-2 punch. We want the smoke. It's going down like a flat tire, he says. Hashtag rep TCA. Hashtag rep TTV. Rep the sport. Rep Mexican fun. And Kev do Woods, he says. Matthew Gabriel in the house as well with the let's go. Kev do. Josh B, he says, "What is good?" My mother says, "Hi, fellas." Hello, mom. Then Matthew says, let's see, Chiefs Bills last night. Instant classic. Rangers win too, he says. Gotta love it. Absolutely love it. And Josh B excited to see it. Matty G says, "What up, bro? The double bro."
Everybody is jacked up.
Instant classic, all-time classic, Brian.
Yeah, nice to see them recover last night because they needed that in the worst way.
Risen Messiah, dude.
You know, we all know that.
Very
so much
good
we're going to
there.
talk about, but we have to start, and you mentioned this to me quickly before the show. The golf from the weekends. You know, we didn't really get to talk about this at all yesterday, other than the quick mention that we did have an amateur winning on the PGA Tour for the first time in 33 years.
It's
so
pretty crazy.
This was the American Express tournament, La Quinta, California. You know, and this was played over 3 courses: the Pete Dye Stadium course, La Quinta Country Club, and the Nicholas course tournament for the first 3 days, and then the stadium course, you know, to wrap it up. And Nick Dunlap, the sophomore, 20 years old, 29 under par, you know, a student at Alabama A&M, a one-shot victory over Christian Besenhot. And then, you know, you had 3 golfers tied at 27 under, and you, Schauffele, and Justin Thomas, who had quite the week. And for JT specifically, not to win, you know, I mean, you look at what he did: 65, 67, 61, 68. Usually that gets it done, but the conditions were favorable. Saw a lot of birdies, saw some eagles. You think about what Dunlap did, you know, not only, you know, the fact that, yes, you know, 20 years old, amateur, only one in the field, but to go 64, 65, 60, and then a 70, you know, he had played so well that only going 2 under on a course that a lot of people were at least 5 under on yesterday. That's pretty impressive. And, you know, a lot of people are saying this is kind of the start and points to that, you know, there's going to be a lot of youth coming up. And it's an exciting time for the world of golf.
I mean, you gotta love to see that, dude. What a tremendous story. We saw him, you know, getting emotional after the win, rightfully so. I didn't realize sophomore and in college, that's crazy. But when you say the start of it, are there more, like, is the talent of college players like pretty hot right now? Or?
Yeah. I think it's just a matter of, you know, it's not anybody specifically, but I think they're just saying in general, there's a lot of talent coming in.
Okay,
and there's already a lot of talent here.
So there's gonna be like a big change, dude.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. And I think, you know, we need that, especially until this merger gets done. If it gets done, you know, because you lose the Roms, you lose the Shambos, the Dustin Johnsons, other guys, you know, got to step up. And another note from this tournament, Daniel Berger, making his first start in 2 years, had some back issues. So 2 years off the PGA Tour, 17 under. So 68, 68, 67, 68. Only tied for 39th, but I think, you know, 17 under par with that type of layoff, that's pretty impressive. So, you know, you love to see that. And the West Coast swing, you know, fully underway. And Thursday, you know, we get one of my favorite tournaments, the Farmers Insurance Open, coming from San Diego, California, Torrey Pines. So, boy, do we have, you know, a big 3 coming up. You have that starting Thursday. Next Thursday, we have the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. Pebble Beach, obviously one of the most beautiful courses in the world. Nice, too, that's an elevated event this year. They've had trouble getting larger fields. So having it being an elevated event, it's going to be the best field we've seen there in quite some time. And hopefully we get some good weather, because it seems like the last couple of years at Pebble, it's just been cloudy, 50 degrees, cold, you know, ski caps, you know, not stuff you think about when you think about golf in California. And then leading into the Super Bowl, the Phoenix Open. Always look forward to that. TPC Scottsdale. So that's 3 really good events back to back after this tournament, the American Express. So I'm looking forward to it. A lot of good golf, Tony, to be played.
Yes, totally stoked. Can't wait for it. Did Ashke, your guy, did he get cut?
Yeah, and you know, it was a
3-round
cut.
There it is.
1 stroke short, 70, 67, 67.
That's tough.
And you look at it, and he just, you know, some mistimed. I think he had a triple, a double, and then I think he bogeyed 18.
Yeah.
And that bogey on 18 ultimately cost him making the cut.
That's tough, dude.
But he's 20 years old, and he is going to be a force on tour.
The youth, dude.
For years to come. So
is he in college right now?
No.
Just straight torn.
Yeah, straight torn.
Good for
So, looking forward to seeing him play the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
So that's really, what we have for golf. But let's go now to the world of the National Football League.
He wants Jefferson, climbs the ladder. Oh my goodness! Justin Jefferson, the catch of his life.
Burrow fires, intercepted, picked off at a pick six. Mako Fitzpatrick, an absolute ball hawk.
Niners twist up front and get to Tagovailoa. Bosa again.
Mahomes escaping, on the move, stops, spins, flips it forward for the touchdown.
Stop it.
Aaron Jones, oh, what a tackle. Quincy Williams with a pile driver.
All right.
right.
So obviously, we were with you for most of the Chiefs-Bills game yesterday, but we didn't get a chance to talk about. And before we do that, we have an Instagram live comment.
Yes, we
get
do.
to that, Tony.
From your guy, dude, Corey Saccone. He
What
says,
up, Corey?
Patrick Waugh and McDavid not going to the Rangers. Oilers to the moon, he says.
Yes,
Very
and
interesting.
Corey Perry, is it that signed with the Oilers?
Yeah, dude. Corey
Yeah,
Perry,
obviously
dude.
we'll talk about that. And wow, I know that one caught you off guard.
Yeah.
But it seems like a home run move. Like I said, we'll get to that. And of course,
Yes.
always good to hear from Corey. But what I was saying, we obviously, covered the Bills Chiefs game yesterday. Didn't get a chance to talk about the other games too much. So let's go back to Saturday, the first game of the weekend. We saw the Baltimore Ravens defeat the Houston Texans 34-10. This was a tight game. It was 10-10 going into the half. But the Ravens, the adjustments, the second half, and really the whole game, they shut down this Houston offense. The only touchdown was on a punt return. So you kind of expected that, and CJ Stroud obviously had a great year, and we've talked about D'Amico Ryans a lot. But I think going into it, we had the thought that this was going to be just too tall of a task here.
Yeah.
I think the Ravens, definitely rusty to start this game.
Oh, definitely.
But you saw him kicking into gear, outscoring the Texans 24-0 in the second half. Lamar, didn't need to do, too much through the air, only 152, did have 2 touchdowns, sacked 3 times, but running the ball, obviously we know that's his strength. 100 yards on the button on 11 carries, 9.1 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns, his long run coming at 23 yards. And, you look at, the team rushing the ball 229 yards. So it seems like every time, we look down, we see Baltimore running for over 200 yards. Hill had 66 yards, Gus Edwards had 40, and even Dalvin Cook had 23 yards, popped off a 19-yard run. Other than that, didn't get much going on the ground, 7 carries for 4 yards outside of that. But of course, he's pumped up to be on a team, of course, that has a chance to go to the Super Bowl. And, when you look on the other side for the Texans, they were able to move the ball a little bit through the air, but still for Stroud standards, we saw him, I think it was yards per game this year. He led the whole NFL. So 175, that's low. He wasn't sacked though. No turnovers.
Right.
But I think the receivers, didn't get the separation they had been getting. Especially, you look back to that game against the Browns. Nico Collins, the leading receiver, 5 for 68 yards, and on the ground, completely bottled up. 14 carries for 38 yards. Baltimore defense, so tough, especially at home. But, listen, I think, they were happy to be there. Obviously had to win that game the last week of the season to win the division, to get into the playoffs. You win a playoff game. You were playing with house money at that point. So I think the Texans have a lot to be excited about. I think it's crazy to think, but I think this offense can even, get even more explosive. I think you want to get at least one more target for CJ Stroud. And I think, a complimentary piece for Devin Singletary. I know he was bottled up in this game, but down the stretch, he was big for this team. So, Dameon Pierce was that guy last season, but really struggled this year, under 3 yards per carry. So it'll be interesting to see if he's back, or they go with a different back. But like
yeah.
I'm saying, I think there's a lot to like if you're a fan of the Houston Texans.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, not to mention, you mentioned it. I mean, CJ Stroud had such a great year. You have that. You have your quarterback, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
that's so huge for the Texans, especially too. But yeah, I mean, it was tough. I mean, what do you think happened in the second half? Scoreless. You just think it was Baltimore's secondary doing a good
I
job?
mean, like I just said, I mean, the whole game,
Right.
they didn't, because the touchdown was on a punt return.
Right.
So I mean, the whole game they didn't allow the big play,
Mhm.
and they forced a lot of incompletions, 14 incompletions. So I think they just had their number the whole time, and I think Fairbairn missed a kick, but it's like,
Yeah, he did.
even with that,
Mhm.
you still lose by 3 touchdowns. So it was too much. And I think in the future years, in the years coming up, we're going to see the Texans win this type of game. They weren't ready just
Right.
yet. They need some fine tuning, especially on the defensive end. And I know, listen, Baltimore has torched everybody on the ground this year. But I think defense will be a priority as well. And the Texans, played better this year than especially the year before. But I think they're going to want to add some playmakers on defense. So I think a playmaker or two on offense, multiple playmakers on defense, and you're going to see a rebuilt roster. So I'm sure it'll be a busy offseason for DeMeco Ryans, for GM Nick Caserio. And the Texans, they're excited right now. And they have a bright future. So I can't wait to see them. You could just tell. And listen, other guys have had impressive rookie seasons before, but the poise with CJ Stroud, I think everybody is equally confident that he's going to be a top quarterback in this league for a long time.
Oh yeah, no, I could agree with that.
Now on the other side of things, what do you take away from this from Baltimore? Obviously, the slow offensive start, turned it up in the second half. Obviously, you see all those rushing yards, but does any part of you just say, well, I mean, the Texans were good, but they weren't in the same class as Baltimore all season. And I know Baltimore did a good job when facing those better teams in the league, but this is the playoffs, and it's nice for Lamar to get a win. It had been a few years since he had won a playoff game, but it's going to be completely different next week in Kansas City. So, what do you take away from this with Baltimore for this win?
Well, like I talked a little bit about it before the weekend too. I mean, I feel like so many times teams that have like buys in the playoffs, like, they come into their game and they're playing a team that just played the week prior. They kind of they're a little bit more warmed up, some momentum in their favor after their win too. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I would chalk this up to the Ravens just kind of like coming out, had to shake off some cobwebs, only scoring 10 points in the first half. I think come next week, they understand that, well, they know for sure they're going to come out and like be firing on all cylinders here. Like they're not going to have a slow start to the game that we saw, against the Texans. And they know that their margin for error certainly is a little bit more slim. So I would lean towards the Ravens still keeping it competitive with the Chiefs. I understand too in the back of your head, you're like, hey, like when's the last time Lamar's been here? Fucking never, dude. Blow it in the playoffs, blow it in the, latter part of the season. But again, I don't know. I mean, it seems like that Lamar is still kind of dialed in. I mean, no turnovers. He was sacked 3 times, but I mean, we would see a game like this. I feel like in previous years, like the Ravens would end up losing because Lamar would lose the ball, So I don't know. I think that the Ravens are still a good team. I wouldn't chalk it up to, oh man, like it's going to be so different against the Chiefs. I think they got blown out. They get a totally different team, whatever. I still think the Ravens came in here. They took care of business at home against a really good team, against one of the better quarterbacks this entire season. So yeah, I still have my stock in the Ravens here for sure.
Yeah, and I think obviously they're anytime you can run the ball for 200 yards week in, week out, I mean that's going to be dangerous in the playoffs with a good defense, with a really good home field advantage, with a great coach in John Harbaugh. So I honestly think going into next week, like I said last night, I'm expecting Kansas City to get the job done, but I do think it's going to be a similar game to what we saw last night. I think it's going to be down to the last possession, and who's going to make that play to win the game. I don't know if you're kind of thinking another classic, or I mean, what do you think?
Definitely another classic. And again, I mean, Justin Tucker from deep, dude.
Yeah, I mean that's a weapon. You see 2 for 2 on those field goals, made that 53-yarder, swirling wins and also all 4 of the extra points. Now, speaking of swirling winds, those came into play Saturday night in Santa Clara. And what a tough loss for the Green Bay Packers. We're in control of this game late in the third quarter, get shut out in the fourth, and lose 24-21. A couple mistakes by Jordan Love, 2 interceptions, including obviously the jaw dropper, the backbreaker there in the final minute of the game, just throwing it up, multiple defenders in the area. That sealed the win for San Francisco. So tough because Jordan Love played so well all year. The big upset last week in Dallas, and then to really be in control of this game late in those 2 miscues, the missed field goal that would have tied the game, and then Jordan Love throwing that interception after they get the ball back. And just looking at that play specifically, I just don't know what he saw. I don't know if he thought the receiver was going to, because the ball was thrown short on top of it. It's like, I don't know if he was expecting it to go over the defenders for a touchdown.
Yeah.
But I mean, I didn't see it on that play. I don't know, kind of what you thought.
I don't think anyone really saw it. I think what I saw in that play was a very young quarterback make a pretty drastic mistake in a big spot because of his inexperience. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not by no means my professional player, but don't they tell you not to throw the ball across your body?
I mean, guys still do it. But
come on,
you can throw it across the body if the guy's open.
Yeah,
but if there's
that's what I mean.
3 guys in the area, what are we talking about?
I think it was a first down. Didn't you just get a first down too?
You were near midfield.
Come on, dude. There was time left.
10, 15 yards to get in the field goal range.
Bad decision, dude. That's just what that was.
And then also it was in the first half. They were in the red zone and they went for on 4th down. They went with the quarterback sneak after they had a 3rd and 1 that they didn't get. And looking at the replay, it seemed like Jordan Love got across the line. They don't challenge. So that was 3 points at least right there. And I don't know why they didn't challenge that play. I don't know if you remember that one early in the game, but it seemed to me it was clear that he was at the line to gain, which would be a first down.
I mean, I don't think again, what we see, maybe I would imagine LaFleur was told something else by his guys up top who were looking at the replay, right? There's no way he would have just not challenged it.
Yeah, and I think it was one of those things where maybe they thought, and like I said, I didn't agree with it, but maybe they thought that it wasn't conclusive enough, it made sense, but you needed overwhelming evidence to overturn the spot of a ball. And then, Carlson, was kind of shaky this year, missing that field goal in the 4th quarter that would have, at that time, given the Packers a 7-point lead. Obviously, San Francisco ends up scoring the touchdown. 81% on field goals this year, 87% on extra points. So it's tough. It's tough. 5 missed extra points during the season. 6 field goals, replacing someone like Mason Crosby, who had been there since 2006. Obviously, we saw with the Giants that, he's obviously all done, but rookie kicker, I think they think there's potential there, but first of all, it didn't come down to that because, you had other opportunities that you didn't take advantage of. But they're going to at least bring in some competition here in the offseason for Carlson.
Yeah, I mean, they literally have to. I don't know if you saw, I heard on Rick and Dave, and I guess LaFleur, there was a soundbite of him saying that when kicker goes out there, he just prays.
I did see that.
That's fucking hilarious. But like JB just said, he should have had someone else be the kicker then. You should never went to the playoffs with that kicker, dude.
And that's one of those things. It's almost similar. I mean, I know it's different, but it reminds me of winging it with the offensive line. It's like,
why?
You never know when you're gonna need to make a 55-yarder. How do you have a weakness at kicker? I would just have no patience for it. It's like, sorry. I mean, it's the name of the game. This is the NFL.
Yeah.
You go in there, make the kick. I mean, we don't really want to talk about anything else.
Yeah.
So too many missed extra points in field goals. So wouldn't be surprised if it's one and done for Carlson. But obviously a long offseason to think about it. That throw by Love was tough. at the end of the game there. But I think it can't cloud, Tony, what a resurgence the Packers had here in the second half.
Oh, yeah.
6-3 down the stretch. From 3-6 to winning the last week to getting into the playoffs to winning in Dallas. I don't think that could be understated. And you really have to feel confident, if you're Green Bay, that Jordan Love, is going to be your quarterback here for the next 10 plus years.
Yeah. I mean, that's another thing too. I mean, it's another great team, another great franchise that has a good head coach. And then it also has found another franchise quarterback, which is pretty crazy because Love had a great year. Couple of years on Aaron Rodgers, I guess, did him some good, huh?
Yeah. And you always see similarities, with guys that learn from other quarterbacks, and you see it with the angled throws and moving outside the pocket. And just the second half specifically for Jordan Love, I think he only threw one interception in the regular season. So second half of the year. So I mean, that's pretty impressive. And it'll be interesting to see if Aaron Jones comes back. He finished the year, I believe it was 4 straight 100-yard rushing games. He's 29 years old, just turned 29 last month. But you'd expect him to be back with Dylan. 5 straight games, even better. With Dylan, and then it'll be interesting to see if they go with another wide receiver. I know Watson missed a lot of time and was disappointing this year. They kind of expected him to be the number 1 wide receiver, and I was talking about this the other day. But I think it is it's like a weapon, the fact that this team doesn't have somebody that they just pepper with targets. Jordan Love is so comfortable throwing, whether it's to Dobbs, whether it's to Reed, whether it's Wicks. He has the tight ends too, in Musgrave and Kraft. And not to mention, Jones out of the backfield if he needs to. Bo Melton caught a touchdown in this game. Do you think to an extent, I mean, I know, we talked all year about Kansas City lacking that number 1 wide receiver, but do you think it's an advantage for Green Bay that, they have these guys that are capable, and quite frankly, they might not need a dominant possession receiver?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I mean, you want to compare him to the Chiefs receivers.
They're a lot better. The guys aren't dropping balls.
Guys are certainly not dropping balls. So I mean, yeah, I mean, I still think it may be worth it to go out to get one established receiver, dude. Bring in Cobb, dude.
But I don't know if they want to, if they feel like they're going to stunt development, but obviously, like, for instance, like Mike Evans will be a free agent. I'm sure the Chiefs will be after him. I don't know if he wants to return to Tampa with Baker or not. He'll be looking for a big deal. So I think there's going to be a lot of options for Green Bay. Also, Matt LaFleur, I think, has proven that he's a really good head coach in this league. Obviously a younger coach, and for them to play so hard down the stretch and not give up after being 3-6, I think they're going to be set at coach for a long time as well. So interesting to see what they do, the draft, free agency, all of that. On the other side, a lot of people thinking San Francisco got a little lucky in this one. You lose Debo to injury. We'll see if he's going to play this week. McCaffrey had a good second half of this game, and obviously has been a beast all season. 20 touchdowns, 2,000 yards from scrimmage. Kittle went off in this one as well, and Purdy had a lot of incompletions, way more than normal. 16 incompletions this one, but made the throws when he needed to. I mean, do you believe that because they just got by here, a little luck on their side, that there's reason for concern this week against Detroit?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there'd be reason for concern regardless. Even if this game ended up being a blowout, I just think the Lions, Jared Goff, you want to talk momentum, you want to talk culture. They're a team that has, I think, shocked this nation this season with how far they got. I mean, even you thought, the Rams.
Yeah.
McVay,
they blew it on that play call on that third down. You should have been in field goal range. Then you would have forced them to score. And you never know what'll happen. I know, just like we're talking about the Chiefs scenario.
But we know what's going to happen.
Well, it's the Chiefs. It's different.
But yeah, dude, I would be a little nervous. Like you said, Debo too, I think is going to be 50-50 as of right now for the game. And I mean, that's huge because, I mean, he's just a ridiculous threat over the middle of the field, So that gives a target for Brock Purdy. It opens up other receivers for him as well. And I think that, missing him this game, I mean, that's, I think, why you saw some more incompletions from Brock. So we'll see, dude. And again, I mean, Brock Purdy is in a position where he is super young and there's a lot of pressure on him. Hasn't really been here before, last season, what was his injury? Shoulder?
It was the elbow.
Yeah. So I mean, listen, this is his time to step up. He knows it. And the Lions are a team that will take any type of hesitation and weakness. It's kind of exploited. So
yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, so I think that'll be, a tight game. And I think Debo is gonna be big. If he's healthy, I think that changes things. Obviously, we saw Kittle step up. He has Brandon Ayuk, but there's just something about having Debo being able to take carries out of the backfield. And obviously you have McCaffrey. So I mean, you have a lot of weapons. This game had some rain. We'll see.
A lot of rain, actually.
What the weather looks like. Sunday, and I guess afternoon technically in Santa Clara, 3-hour time difference. So game 6:30 Eastern, but it'll be 3:30 on the West Coast. And then the only other game, we haven't talked about yet, would be the Bucks and the Lions from yesterday. This one, was tight early. Lions pulling away late. A couple Baker picks kind of doing in Tampa here, especially that final drive of the game. Overall 349 through the air for Baker, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Found Mike Evans, 8 receptions, 147 and a score. Running the ball, they did run for 89 yards on the ground on 15 carries, but obviously down the stretch had to abandon the run to catch up, being down multiple scores. In the fourth quarter and ultimately losing 31-23. So again, like we talked about with the Green Bay Packers, Tampa was in a similar scenario down the stretch, rallying to make the playoffs here. And I think it was 9-0 the last week of the season. They beat Carolina, the worst team in the league, just to get into the playoffs. And after a slow start, I believe they were 3-6 as well. Baker really played well. Of course, this game, he's unable to get it done, but there's been talks that a contract extension is in the works, with Baker to bring him back. You have Godwin under contract. You have Rashad White under contract, and it's just a matter of, is Evans going to come back? I think that's big. But Baker being 28 years old, throwing over 4,000 yards this year, 28 touchdowns, leading them to the playoffs, seems like that deal will get done to bring him back. Do you think that he's there for the long term?
Yeah, I think so. I think it would be stupid for Tampa Bay, for the Bucs to get rid of him. I mean, at this point, you can argue this was his best season of his career. And you want to talk about this game as alone. Kind of a tough start for the Bucs. I mean, he had that pick in the first drive of the game, I believe. I forget what receiver, but it was off the receiver's hands.
Deflected.
Yeah, which is always tough, dude. And obviously, the last drive is certainly on him, but I don't know. It just seemed like the Bucs could not get much of a running game going to start. They tried to establish the run game early. They couldn't really get it done. And they still, I don't know. I feel like there was a lot of times where Baker was just under pressure immediately. He was sacked 4 times, and he had a lot of pressure all game. It was tough for him to get some stuff going. I understand, 349 yards total for him is pretty impressive. 26 of 41. The inefficiency, I think, is certainly due to, his lack of protection. And it's tough, dude. I mean, this game, whatever, but I think Baker sticks with the Bucs, dude, for sure. What are they gonna do?
Yeah, no. I mean, I think he'll come back, and it's just funny. I forgot what he signed for, but I don't think it was that much. Like maybe under 10 million. For some reason, I'm thinking 6.5. So I mean, you would think he's gonna look for a deal, that could be similar to $4 million. Wow. Could be similar to what Daniel Jones got last offseason.
That's crazy.
A 4-year deal, maybe not up to 160, maybe more like 130, 140. So it with the first 2 years guaranteed, and then see what happens after that. It's going to be a fascinating story. Obviously, he's going to do everything he can to get Evans back.
Oh yeah.
I do wonder with Mike Evans though, Obviously would love to win a Super Bowl. If Kansas City comes calling or another team, that's in Super Bowl contention, looking for a receiver, maybe the Jets as well. You have to wonder if he'll reconsider. Obviously, he's been in Tampa his whole career, being drafted in the first round in 2013.
That's crazy that he's been there all his whole career. But again, you would kind of assume. I feel like before Baker got there, or even like, is it last year he was kind of talking about like leaving the team? Or 2 years ago?
It was going into this year, no contract
going
extension.
Into this year, okay.
So, and you know how players try to leverage. So I'm sure there was some of that. And I'm sure he enjoyed this season. But there's a lot to be sorted out. And I would imagine that the Tampa, is going to keep Bowles. And I was talking about this with Uncle James yesterday and my dad. We all kind of are like, I mean, it's, they're going to keep him. But boy, I think they would be better off, going in a different direction. I mean, would you think he kind of limits how far they can go? Or it just depends kind of what moves they make?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess right now you could argue, yeah, he kind of limits how far they can go.
Yeah. So I mean, I think the defense needs to be improved.
Yeah.
But obviously their number one priority, or priority 1A and B, will be Mike Evans.
How do you feel about their running back?
I like White.
You like him a lot.
I think improve that line.
Yeah.
That's got to be, because we've talked about this all year. Him in space, White. He does well playing on the rookie deal. You want to take advantage of that. So, we'll have to see what happens. And before we get to the other side of this game, we do have a few more comments here, Tony.
Yes, of course, dude. Coming in from the StreamYard. We got a lot of talk, actually. Josh B in the house saying, if San Fran has no Debo, they will completely lost on offense. He says, didn't think with all that talent after Debo, they would look like that lost, he says. And Brock Purdy in the weather, he says, suspect.
Yeah, and we saw them struggle with that 3-game losing streak that they had. And what do you know? Debo was out. So be interesting to see if he'll make it back. Good point by Josh B.
Great point by JB. And of course, we have Michael Buckta in the house. He goes, you guys rocked it at the Horseshoe last night. Did Tatum come by the studio this morning by any chance?
No Tatum.
He's
no sighting of Tatum.
Scared,
but
dude.
Appreciate the kind words, Michael.
He says, Barnes, I realize you're in my spot.
Wow, he's calling it his spot.
Yeah,
resting on his laurels a little bit, after all these compliments for his great work in studio.
I know.
Hard to blame him. I mean, the feedback was very positive.
It was. So, and he was asking if Michael's here. If so, put him on camera.
Michael, not here right now.
Not here right now.
But if he does make it here before the end of the show, we'll get him on camera. Also, Benny in the mix with a little crack here saying, if Goff wins the Super Bowl, is he going to Canton? Listen, I think that you have to give credit where credit's due. So for Jared Goff to be, tossed to the Wolves with the Rams after leading them to a Super Bowl, ultimately losing to the Patriots, and then facing them, beating them last week in the playoffs, winning this game, having a chance to go to Super Bowl. One of the more remarkable turnarounds that I've seen, especially because you think about his rookie year, he was awful, didn't start right away, had to deal with Jeff Fisher as his head coach when the team was still in St. Louis. But I think the whole thing here is, he deserves a lot of credit. And that trade, and it was funny when it was made. A lot of people are saying, Detroit, they don't even want Jared Goff. They're just taking him because that's what they have to do to get the picks, this and that. And they found their franchise quarterback. So, it's been a match made in heaven. Jared Goff, the Detroit Lions, Dan Campbell. There's a lot of synergy there in Detroit.
Yeah. And Dan Campbell is doing a phenomenal job in standing up with Jared Goff, dude. After that Rams game in the locker room, he said, you deserve to be the starting quarterback of this team, giving him the game ball. The team, again, rallying around this guy is great because, I feel like Goff, I don't know, it was getting kind of a bad rap. It was almost getting written off, as well as, honestly, I guess the Lions as a whole, and to see them where they're at, to have Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs is great. We know about Montgomery as well. St. Brown, Sam Laporta with the whole knee thing. That guy, the past 2 games, all I've been hearing is him saying how uncomfortable and how much pain he's in with his knee, and he's going out there and he's putting up some great numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, again, that's just a testament to the culture and to the drive and the camaraderie this team has. And I mean, those are the types of teams that win championships. 86 Mets.
But yeah, no, I think he's done a great job. And I think too, because of all the great quarterbacks that are playing right now, he definitely gets overlooked. But I mean, you look at for his career, I mean, he's over 30,000 passing yards, he's thrown 185 touchdowns to only 82 interceptions. So he's performed. And obviously it didn't end the way he would have liked with the Rams, but he's revitalized himself here with Detroit, has a chance this week to go to the Super Bowl, and he's only 29 years old. So he's going to be around for a decent while here. So definitely, congratulations to him. And he played well, in this game specifically. Didn't do anything to hurt his team's chances. No interceptions, was only sacked twice, 30 of 43, 287, 2 touchdowns. His leading receiver, like it's been all year long, Amon-Ra St. Brown, one of Benny's favorites, by the way. He always gets routed for his brother Equanimous, who plays for the Bears. Scott Hansen also getting a kick out of him as well. But he had 77 yards, a touchdown. Laporta, even limited with the knee, was able to snag 9 passes for 65 yards. And as a team, they ran the ball effectively. David Montgomery had been great all year. This one, he was bottled up, only 33 yards. But Gibbs gave them a little pop in the running game, including a 31-yarder. He had 74 yards on the ground, only 9 carries and a touchdown. And also Craig Reynolds had a rushing touchdown as well. So, with Detroit, with Dan Campbell, a former tight end, a very aggressive coach. They're going to try to run the ball right down San Francisco's throat, get the play action, going, as well. And they definitely have, a real good shot to win this game and to advance to the Super Bowl. But I do think really what's key here is, how are they going to do defensively? Because I think that's the thing. And, 23 points to the Bucs, sure, fine. And, the Bucs obviously getting a touchdown on their second to last drive there when they're kind of playing to prevent defense. But I don't think, Aiden Hutchinson is great, but I don't think the rest of this defense is. So I think the whole thing is, are you going to be able to cover San Francisco? Because I know offensively they'll be able to move the ball, but I don't know if they're going to be able to get any stops defensively. So that's why, they're going to have to, and I know, of course, they ended up winning last night, but almost take a page out of the Bills from last night where you're dominating time of possession and keeping that San Francisco offense off the field and just running the ball. And you think about David Montgomery, I said, bottled up in this game, but all season he was great, over 1,000 yards, 4.6 yards to carry, 13 touchdowns. Gibbs, so explosive as well. So they have a nice tandem there at running back. But I, like I said, I do think the defense is what is ultimately going to decide the outcome of this one. And we both agreed the Kansas City Baltimore matchup, we expect that to be tight, down to the wire. Do you see a similar scenario here, with the Lions and the 49ers?
Yeah, I do see a similar scenario. I mean, again, I think Dan Campbell will have that strategy of the ground and pound, short passes, play for the first downs, and eat up a lot of clock time. I'm trying to look. It looks like their average time of possession, I guess this year, has been 30 minutes. So it seems like they've had, on average, their opponents have 29 minutes possession. So pretty split evenly there. So, I mean, it'd be interesting to see how good of a job they could do in terms of keeping, the Niners offense off the field. But I mean, I think looking at that, I mean, their defense is going to have to step up, like hopefully Brock Purdy again, like maybe no Debo. Brock Purdy gets a little nervous. They'll make a couple bad passes. Who knows? But I think it's going to come down to what their defense can show. I mean, they have, who's that? Hutchinson.
Yeah, Aiden Hutchinson.
Great guy, dude. He's freaking awesome. So, I mean, I think he's going to be a big key to pressuring Brock Purdy and getting into the backfield, and perhaps, stopping, McCaffrey as well out of the backfield. It's going to be tough, though. I mean, the Niners are just always so creative, too, with their plays. So, I mean, it definitely throws the defense for a whirl. And again, you mentioned having some type of like end around play. They always run with Debo. It's like how do you defend that, dude?
Yeah.
They have to come up with some type of defensive scheme here. but we'll see. I mean, I think Detroit can keep it tight. Do we have a line actually for next week?
6.5.
Really?
Yeah. I wouldn't want to mess around with Detroit plus 6.5. Personally, I would just tease the Niners. I have a tough time. Great story with the Lions, all the good stuff we talked about, building blocks for the future after tearing it down to the studs. But the Niners, have been in this spot before. Last year, so close. The Purdy injury completely changes everything in the NFC Championship game. Hard time for me to think that they're not going to win this game.
Yeah, damn, dude.
I know you want to see it, of course. How about, by the way, the discrepancy in tickets? I don't know if this is an error or what the deal is, but so the Lions, or not the Lions, but the Ravens tickets against the Chiefs is starting at 406, but the 49ers say starting at 15. I don't understand that. And better weather there too. I don't know if they're. I guess that weather is for today. I don't know if it'll show for Sunday.
Let's see.
But that seems kind of nuts.
Game time weather is 69, partly cloudy.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I guess so, dude. Well, come on, stop it. Lower level, 106, row 15.
I don't know if it's the matchup. But the Niners haven't been to the Super Bowl in 12 years. You think that the fan base would be riled up.
I can sit right here for $20.
I'm sure there's fees, but still, obviously, yeah.
$35.
Oh, no, that's not the right thing. NFC Championship watch party.
Where do you see that?
Right there. I don't know why they would show that. So that's why.
This is definitely a mistake.
Yeah.
What does that mean though? Watch party.
They do that as teams get deeper in the playoffs, where you go to the stadium, they're not even playing there, but they have the game on and you can watch and buy concessions. So just a way for the visiting team to make some money.
Oh my gosh, the Lions sideline. Yeah, dude, there's gonna be someone who fucking buys these tickets and thinks.
Yeah, well, you have to be dumb though. At the end of the day, you got to be pretty stupid to do that.
Wait, why would ESPN have that on their website?
Just an error, honestly. So
a huge error.
As Doggy would say, a bad job there. Bad job.
That's tough, dude.
But yeah, I can't wait. Championship Sunday. Really, some people argue it's even better than Super Bowl Sunday, just because you have two really good matchups. We're expecting these games to be close and kind of nice too. Usually on these championship Sundays, just kind of how it works out, you get one indoor, one outdoor, but we have two outdoor games. Obviously, weather looks like it's going to be really actually good in both places. And 49 for Baltimore this time of year, that's pretty good. So, really, really looking forward to watching this game. And it's it's kind of interesting too. You just think about quality of the coaches, quality of the quarterbacks, all highly respected, across the board. And also too, looking at this, 3 first-round pick quarterbacks, and then Purdy, the last pick in the draft. So kind of a little bit of a discrepancy there. But Purdy obviously has played as well as those first-round guys, and it's just what a story. It's something that I don't know, if we'll ever see again, Tony. Where if he does make the Super Bowl, Mr. Irrelevant, 2 years in, starting the Super Bowl, potentially winning the Super Bowl. Unbelievable.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. I don't know what. Again, you look at that story and you don't know if it's just like, wow, like Brock Purdy, like what an athlete, or is it just like what is wrong with the NFL?
Scouts, that's what's wrong. Scouts,
what is that,
the
dude?
Brian Cashman mindset as a scout.
That's brutal.
David Stearns, right? Yeah.
Is it really possible that this kid, like, again, I don't know much about him in college, but was he just not good? And then
he's at Iowa State, so it's right. Like, come on, he's not having some, offensive guru and the best players in the country. So your surroundings, the system, that's going to have a lot to do with it. But at the same time, you got to have that ability. So, clearly that was there. It just needs to be unleashed. And clearly, Kyle Shanahan's offense has been perfect for Brock Purdy.
Do you think, you think because it was Iowa, like he just went under the radar, doesn't have a lot of exposure to teams and teams.
You're in the Big 12, but you're not a sought after program. Everybody wants to go to the other big names, and obviously it's changing now. But people, Oklahoma, Texas, who are now next year going to be in the SEC, but they've been, getting all that talent. And Iowa State, is looked up as a backup option. So you just got to think about what's around him. So it's definitely going to be interesting. One other thing I was just thinking about too. I heard this on the radio. I believe it was it was on DNR this morning. That there's rumblings and just the way he was interacting with some of the players after the game, that this could be it for Travis Kelce. I don't know if you had heard that.
Really?
That
No.
he might retire.
But
God.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think that's all bullshit, dude. Because
Leverage play?
First of all, Jason Kelce did the same thing.
Oh, you're saying because he hasn't officially retired?
Yeah, well, no, because I guess he never really outright said it, but he was alluding to the fact that this is going to be it. He was crying on the camera, whatever. And then all of a sudden it's oh, well, I never really said I was going to outright retire. I don't know. Maybe I'll stick around, whatever.
But what about a co-announcement potentially? I mean, that's something you got to think about, that maybe he wants to do it at the same
with
time
his
as
brother?
Travis. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, possibly. Yeah, maybe.
On the podcast.
But yeah,
right? I mean, if they're going to both retire, they will do it that way. You know that.
Yeah, probably. That's annoying. But it was nice to see him at the Chiefs game last night, though. That was sick.
Yeah, the shirt
shirtless,
off,
drinking the beers, dude. I mean, way better than cutting the Taylor Swift. Come on, dude.
But yeah, I don't know. To me, especially, if they get to the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl this year, I know you win one on the way out type of deal. But it just seems like with Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback, Andy Reid as your head coach, you're really going to want to walk away. I mean, you would have had 1,000 yards this year if you played the last game of the season. The rapport he has with Mahomes is unbelievable. I mean, I just think it's tough. I know people talk about maybe he just wants to travel with Taylor Swift, but it's is he really? I don't know. It just seems like a lot to give up, but they were alluding to on Rick and Dave, just that maybe just preparation wise, he doesn't want to have to go through that. And they consider this a down year, which, he dropped some balls, didn't have a ton of touchdowns, but still, I mean, it was easily top 3 in the whole league at the tight end position.
Yeah, no. And I mean, he's still setting records too. In the postseason, most receptions are tied for the most receptions, right?
Quarterback touchdowns.
Touchdowns.
Yeah, I think it was 15 or 16 with Brady and Gronk.
I mean, that's great, dude. But I don't know. I mean, he's older. He probably is looking into his future and what he wants to do. And I honestly, if I was him and we won the Super Bowl this year, I'd be all right, that's it. I want another one. Why not?
But I think, you know what it is? It just depends, what type of athlete you are. Because you have somebody like Brady, you almost had to rip it away from him. He just loves being, in the spotlight and the opportunity to compete for a championship. It's tough to say that you think Travis Kelce enjoys it, but maybe he enjoys the other stuff more versus the actual grit, the grind. So maybe also it is depending on what they do. If it's a Super Bowl, that's it. But to me, I think, easily could play one more year and really probably 2, maybe the second. But listen, and I know, we get annoyed, the commercials, the attitude, all of that stuff. But you think about tight ends in history. I mean, at his age, 34, going on 35, really maybe Tony Gonzalez was one of the only other guys at that age to still be highly productive. Antonio Gates, another guy that comes to mind. But not many people have been able to, compete at this high of a level at that age, at tight end, physical position that it is.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll see. But I mean, you never know.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to use Tom Brady as an example. Tom Brady did play the extras year, kind of pushed it, and what happened?
But I don't think he was really listen.
I'm talking more about
guy,
we'll talk about more personal, life wise. He got divorced because
but come on, I think that was a little overstated. It's whether he hung him up or not, it's clearly more than that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's one of those things where there's a divorce and they use some specific incident reason. Come on. You were waiting to use that as the reason.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let's be real.
Yeah.
And also too, I think if that Bucs team last year was a little more buttoned up, maybe a better coach, a better offensive line, some type of running game, they could have won a Super Bowl. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh, I know.
I honestly think too, Brady would have probably outperformed half of the league this year if he was put in the right position. Yeah.
And again, like you said, look at the rest of the league, the injuries at the quarterback positions for various teams. And look at, the Niners, the Packers, the young quarterbacks, the Texans that made it the playoffs. Like, I mean, if Brady was around with his experience.
And supposedly the Niners wanted Brady this offseason, but I guess he wasn't interested. Yeah. They would have told Purdy to sit down. Maybe they're concerned about the elbow injury, wanting to get over the hump. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's a true story, but I did see that report yesterday. I forgot who had said that, but
that's
I did
pretty
see
crazy.
something like that. So, yeah, crazy stuff.
Crazy for the Niners to think that they would to try and do that, dude.
Yeah. No, I know. So yeah, just a really exciting time of year, and obviously the preview of these games on Friday is going to be great. And we'll keep an eye out on the hiring cycle.
Belichick Falcons?
Not official yet. Harbaugh has been interviewed there, as well as a slew of other candidates. You think with Belichick, I mean, matter of time before he's introduced as the Falcons head coach, or I don't know. I think they were talking about it on the DNR again this morning. That maybe after this loss, not getting over the hump, that maybe the Bills would try to get Belichick, but they're saying, I don't know if he'll do that to the Patriots. I mean, what do you think about where he's going to go?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I don't know. Again, it seems like Atlanta is a front runner for some reason. I don't know why Bill would really want to go there, to be honest. But
Atlanta?
Yeah.
I think it hinges on the definitive plan at the quarterback position.
Yeah.
There's going to be someone else. Clearly, that guy is going to be better than what he was dealing with in New England. Town around him is better. It seems like he has a relationship with Arthur Blank. But does part of you think he would love to, go to the Bills and stick it to the Patriots?
I think he would like that, but I don't think the Bills would do that.
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know, Josh Allen and McDermott, I mean, they seem to have a good rapport together, right?
Yeah, but then with the Diggs scenario, what do they do at offensive coordinator? Diggs was bottled up again last night. It seems like he's declining. I don't know if it's just a chemistry thing. There's some question marks there.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Would you do it if you were the Bills?
Belichick?
Yeah.
I think I would, honestly. You wouldn't? I don't know. Like McDermott, I mean, it's like he gets credit, but doesn't Josh Allen deserve the credit? I mean, we blame him when he has turnovers and they lose games. I mean, I don't know. McDermott, is he top 10 in the league as a coach?
I guess not. I mean, I suppose, again, I mean, I would look at more of there's that relationship between head coach and quarterback. But yeah, I guess you can give more of the credit to Josh Allen for the success. And I mean, it's not like there's anything crazy going on with like the play calling there. And then that fake punt, yesterday was pretty bad, dude.
But I'm telling you, I don't think Diggs is coming back. And I just wonder, I mean, what do you think? He's 30 years old. I think he hasn't scored since November. Obviously, season over now. I don't think he's coming back, but do you think he still has something left?
I do. And I think if a team like the Kansas City Chiefs comes knocking on the door, he's going to go there, dude.
Yeah, I don't think he's coming back, though. I don't think so.
I don't know.
And then they can feature Shakir for you, Tony.
Come on, dude. Is he not good?
You're getting a little riled. Like there's ability there, but okay. I mean, it's
took a pretty ugly hit today.
Yeah. And obviously Gabe Davis missed the game yesterday.
Yeah, that's tough.
He's been okay. So they might look to go in a different direction there at the wide receiver position. I think Dalton Kincaid is going to be really one of the top tight ends in the league next year. He really burst onto the scene as a rookie. So a lot of decisions to be made there. Before we move on, I believe we have some comments to catch up on.
A ton of comments. Let's see. Let's go. There we go. And let's see what we got here. Going up here. My mother says, "You guys are awesome. Thanks,
appreciate
Mom.
it."
Parents came for the weekend, dude. The Southport pizza, the Metcha.
Yeah.
Matthew Ryan says, "Did you guys see the way that the Bills lost this? Was the Jets' year ruined by Zach Wilson?"
Well, let's be optimistic, cautiously, but optimistic for this offseason. You'd expect a lot of changes along that offensive line. We spent yesterday talking about how bad Becton is. So let's see what happens. Let's hope Aaron's healthy and the right decisions are made. Obviously, history would tell us just brace for more disappointment. But
yeah,
let's see what happens.
Then Jay Burt says, turned into a night owl last night. Watched these games. No regrets. He said, I believe he hit the Stream East rather.
Stream East, yep.
Hilarious.
VPNs.
Yeah, dude.
Jay Burt, good to hear from him.
It is great to hear from him, dude. Lions beating the 49ers. Ravens beating the Chiefs, he says.
0 for 2, Jay. Hate to see it.
Oh, my goodness.
Hey,
we'll see.
Tony wanted to argue about the Bills yesterday, so let's see him to argue about this again.
I mean, come on, dude. It's going to be a competitive game. You said it, field goal, you know?
Yeah, I just
could be anyone's game.
Could be, but it won't be. Like it'll be close, but there's no way the Ravens are going to win, and there's no way.
How could you say it's going to be close, but there's no way the Ravens win? If it's close, there's a way the Ravens can win.
What I think is just when the going gets tough, they're going to falter at the end of the game. That's what I think is going to happen. I think
Jackson
tight,
throws a pick.
Energy there, yeah.
So, Jay Bird, by the way, doing great. Playing rugby over there in England, dude.
Let's go.
Having a great time. Yeah, dude.
Glad to hear it.
That's fucking sick. And then Michael Bucked back in the house of Barnes. What would happen if we sent Tatum deer hunting in the cold woods of Billings, Montana?
I think he would find Giannis there.
He said he would look like an absolute weirdo and fool. Giannis, dude?
Well, the deer hunting Bucks? Come on.
Matthew Gabriel says, you boys are the goats, man, for real. Bonds. I love having you back in that seat, brother.
Always good to hear from Matthew. And, of course, great to be back.
Yes, dude. J-Man, he's asking how life is across the pond. He says, this show also is the best in sports, hands down, no question. And then classic. Hey, Baltimore.
Couple meanings there with Baltimore. Goes way back. And Michael Buck is saying, yeah, except Giannis would slam Tatum on the ground.
I didn't realize the Celtics are like 21-0 at the TD Garden.
I think they just lost
21-1.
Yeah. And I think, actually my brother-in-law went there the other night. His friend has season tickets, so he was at that game.
Pretty crazy, dude.
Yeah.
That's like ridiculous.
And how about my godson? I think it's the last home game of the year. Is going to get an opportunity I don't know how they got it set up, but to be on the court, I think coming out of the halftime to be able to high five the players.
Oh, that's so
He's
cool.
only 2.5 years old,
right?
And he'll be able to do that.
They like win like some type of
no, I don't know the full extent of it, but just what an opportunity.
Yeah, could have been any one of us, dude.
Yeah.
Oh wow, we have 5 more comments rolling in here. Michael says 20-1 at home. He goes, Tatum choked. Matthew Gabriel says, going deer hunting Montana sounds like we must do. Bring back some elk meat and freeze it.
Wow.
You ever have elk?
No.
Me neither. They're good things, though.
I don't know.
Oh, you wouldn't try it, Brian?
I don't know. I just feel like there's no need for it at the end of the day. Other you just say, oh, I had elk. Oh, it's so crazy. But let's go now to the world of the National Hockey League.
Here he comes. McDavid shoots. Top shelf. He scores. Captain with the overtime winner. That's the middle. Great hit. That's a world-class hit right here. Tomsky stepping. Rink Washington made the full split save.
Are you kidding me?
Turn. Side of the net. Between the legs and they score. Filthy. David Pasternak. The silver trophy to the Golden Knights.
All right. So the Rangers must-needed win last night in Anaheim. 5 unanswered to take out the Ducks. 5-2. Did that leave you a little riled, Tony?
Absolutely, dude. Especially because we were watching the game in the Horseshoe. Shout out to Jeff at the Horseshoe, by the way. Big Rangers fan. Always make sure that the Rangers game is on, even in there's other bigger games going on.
Right. There's a TV for the Rangers.
Always, dude. Love to see it. And yeah, it was tough, dude. Obviously, didn't watch a lot of it, but again, we were monitoring the game, and Rangers go down 2-0 pretty early on. Igor did not look good. Adam Henrique looked like the best player on the ice there for the Ducks. And it's tough, dude. I mean, at that point, the Rangers were on such a skid that you kind of just almost packed it in. But 4 unanswered goals in the third period. 5 unanswered goals, obviously, final score of 5-2. I mean, the Rangers just really stepped up that third period. I guess the rest of the game too. They were able to play some lockdown defense. You want to look at some of the team stats here. probably the lowest hit count, I want to say, all season for the Rangers. Only 15 hits from them. Lost in the face-off game here to the Ducks. Rarely see that too for the Rangers. So I mean that it's definitely some things to point out that don't normally happen. Also lost the block shot game too, 13-24 in favor of the Ducks. That's something you don't see a lot, at least with that type of disparity in those two numbers. So I don't know. I think maybe the Rangers, they seem like they're a little banged up. I don't know, dude. To start these games, these past few games, the losses they've had, even some of the wins that didn't really look necessarily, I guess you could say they were ugly wins. And then this game started out, and it just seemed that the Rangers were not on the right foot. I don't know what Lavi had said to them in between the intermission here, but that third period where they scored 4 goals, they just seemed that they just lit a fire underneath their ass. Because, I know they still outshot the Ducks 33-18, but going into that third period, I think they were pretty much even in terms of shots on goal. So, great job there, I guess, to really step up. But, this is nonetheless, a team that the Rangers, it should have been 5-2 after the first 2 periods, they definitely could be more dominant. You definitely want to see them come out against teams like the Ducks and, again, be dominant sooner, obviously you want to take the win, and you'll get the scoring again. The second period, we saw Trocheck. We watched that goal on the power play. That third period, it was just, again, like an offensive explosion. You had not even from your top 6 necessarily, but you had Panarin and Kreider get goals. Panarin's, the beautiful classic bread and butter goal there on the power play. It was Kreider with the deflection under the net. But then Cooley at the top of the period, and obviously Jimmy V's got that empty netter. But it was great to see Will Cooley kind of start that goal scoring off in the third period. And then his 8th goal this season. He's someone who's going to have a bright future with the Rangers, I think. This is his rookie season. So that's great to see that from the young teams here, the younger players on the team. So you're happy with it. You're happy with the win, but it doesn't really matter right now. It's just on to the next, because you had a tough loss against the Kings. We talked a little bit about it. Jonathan Quick getting that tribute video, having a stellar game against the Kings.
Offense.
Only scored 1 goal. Can't be doing that, dude.
No.
And it was, I think that was his, that was his first time back in LA, and he was starting, he wanted that win a lot. And it's unfortunate that the Rangers could not give it to him, because we know Jonathan Quick has been giving his all to the Rangers this season. So, we got to step up, dude. Again, third period was indicative of what that step up could look like, but you just have to do that all game against better teams here. And I believe we still have, the rest of a little bit of a California trip. We have San Jose next. So
gotta win.
Brian, I don't want to hear it. Okay. I want to hear Tomas Hertl's name out of your mouth, Brian. Sprinkle a little bit.
No, Brian. They're gonna win that game, but I don't want to hear any excuse.
It's got to be I think the Bruins scored 9 against the Canadiens over the weekend.
Yeah.
That's, you want 9-0, dude. Get double digits, 11 goals. All right.
Yeah, exactly. So this way, win here tomorrow, that would close out the West Coast trip 2-2.
Yes.
And then, a revenge spot against Vegas and get the job done. They embarrassed you when you played last time. And despite these struggles, the Rangers are, still first place in their division. Obviously, with 60 points. That's a good thing. You're just 5 points behind the Bruins now. You had kind of a stranglehold, on the East before this stretch, but Florida's 2 points behind. Philly's only 4 points behind, and Carolina's 5 points behind. So people right there, it's time to get the job done. So let's see if they're able to do that, and let's just hope that they got that bad hockey out of the way.
Hockey,
and it's going to be good times ahead for the New York Rangers. And Josh B saying needed that win. Still have so many things to fix.
Yes, and he is totally right, dude. And I know Josh B knows it more than any one of us here. But good things are coming, dude. I'm telling you.
Good things coming for the Islanders. Patrick Waugh.
You're hyped.
What was it? Lambert fired, right?
Yes.
What do you think about that? Waugh, three seasons as the Avs coach. I think 8 years ago or so, was coaching junior hockey in Canada, had won a title last year. Obviously, the Hall of Fame goaltender, Stanley Cup champion. Didn't work back then with the Avalanche, but he comes with the Islanders. They wanted a spark. And what do you think about Wah taking over there for the Islanders?
I think that's like a hugely, massively great decision by the Islanders. I think they had an overtime win against the Stars, his first game, right, over the weekend. So, I mean, that's huge right there. He's going to be a great, locker room, rile the troops type of guy. I think his coaching with Colorado, it wasn't like phenomenal, was it?
He won Coach of the Year first year, made the playoffs, lost the first round, and then didn't make the playoffs the next 2 years.
Yeah, so
fired.
I guess we'll see. Obviously, that was a long time ago. The Islanders are a different team. They are a talented team. But I mean, if Patrick Waugh comes in here, trade deadline is coming up in a couple months, month and a half, probably at this point. If he acquires a couple different pieces, implements his type of culture and a legitimate game plan, I mean, you could see the Islanders becoming a playoff team. But I guess time will tell, obviously. But I think right now, right move for the Islanders. And I think that if I'm a player on the Islanders, I'm jacked up. Like, let's go, dude.
Yeah, I think that's a big culture change, and you have to think he's going to help Sorokin as much as he can. And actually, their win was actually last night. Bo Horvat, the game winner in overtime against the Stars. So off to a good start there. We'll see if this move ends up paying dividends and catapults the Islanders into the playoffs. But I definitely agree with the move. I think it's a good one for sure. And then Jay, it just says Jay. Tony hasn't yelled yet. I'm impressed.
I'm impressed. This is Josh D, maybe. Okay. I don't think it's Josh Evans. It's Josh. Yeah. But yes, dude. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure last week I had a lot of yelling here in the studio. I was here by myself. I was yelling at myself, dude.
Yeah. But a little yelling coming out because we're gonna do a hockey frenzy, Tony. So if you could cue up the music while you're doing that. Just want to update everybody pick wise. After you're tallying up wildcard weekend, you're up 52-50. And this is gonna run till first game of spring training. So a little room to run here, but a hockey frenzy here on a Monday. I can envision the NHL tonight.
I can envision the NHL tonight. It's Monday, baby. We have a pretty solid slate of games here on January 22nd. Starting off, speaking of having a great home record like the Celtics, the Bruins, who play in the same arena here, are hosting the Jets. Bruins 15-3-3 at home. The Jets having a 14-4-2 away record, though. Winnipeg here, plus 115. Obviously, they're plus 20 here on the road, but a tight dog nonetheless. Brian, what do you see here?
Bruins under. Just like the Rangers, Bruins had a tough stretch. Seems like they've righted it slightly, and they're going to take out Winnipeg here. Give me the Bruins 3-1. Pastrnak 2 goals and an assist.
Wow, dude. I would go the opposite. I say Jets and the under, though, still. Jets here plus money, tight dogs. Gabriel Velarde nets 2 goals, including the game winner in overtime. Still 7 o'clock here, NHL Network. We have the Devils, baby, who are at home. They're going to be hosting the Golden Knights. My God, will they have a game in store for them here in Newark, New Jersey. The Knights are on the road, but they are the favorites. Plus 105 here. Can the Devils fend them off? What do you think, dude?
I don't think so. The Knights, again, have had struggles of their own. But I think, despite, no Eichel, I think we're going to see them right the ship. And I just don't, the Devils with the goaltending scenario, don't think it's going to be good. And because of that, I think we're looking at an over. But I think the Knights are going to take this one 5-2 in Newark.
I do agree with the Knights, but I say go under. I think Jack Hughes out for the Devils. Definitely going to hurt their offense. And, of course, the Knights, if it's Hill, if it's Thompson, they have phenomenal goaltending there. The Knights win this game 4-1. Moving on, prime time here. Continuing to be in prime time, 8 p.m. in Nashville, baby. The Panthers are going in there to try and take down the Predators. Wow, what a battle of the cats, of the animals here. Florida on the road, minus 125 here in Bridgestone Arena. What do you think here? Nashville?
This is one of those things. I don't believe in jinxes, Tony. So I know, yes, my history going against Nashville, this, that. Panthers are a better team here. So I think they win this game. Bravowski with the shutout on the road. So give me the Panthers in the under 3-0.
I'll go against Brian here. Time will tell, and the numbers will show. He's terrible picks against the Predators. So I would say give me the Predators here at home. Just because of that, let's say Forsberg with a hat trick. Bobrovsky pulled second period. Next game up, 9 o'clock.
Over under.
3. Give me the over. Predators in the over. Predators in the over. All right. Next up, 9 o'clock here. We're going to be in Arizona, Brian, as the Coyotes take on the Penguins. I have a feeling where Brian would go with this one. Pittsburgh on the road, minus 150. What do you got, dude?
Boy. This is tough. But you know what? I'm gonna go with the Coyotes. I know it's, step up in competition here, but Keller, Ingram, they've been playing well at home, 14-9. I think a tight one and under, like we usually see with these Coyotes games. But I'm gonna say 3-2. Coyotes, Keller, go ahead goal. 2 minutes left.
All right. I'm going to say give me the Penguins here and the over. I think there will be some high scoring here. Obviously, the usual suspects, the Penguins. You know about Keller there with the Coyotes. But I think Penguins, the veteran team, they'll pull it out. I say Penguins in offensive exposure, maybe towards the end of the game. They win 6-3 now. Moving on into our late games. We're going West Coast. We're going Canada as well here. 10 o'clock. The Canucks are hosting the Blackhawks. Bedard, I think, still out from the broken jaw. And of course, about Perry, not being around, obviously. But what do you think, dude?
Yeah, I don't think the Blackhawks have a chance. It's a shame because I think, with Bedard, I would maybe, think they have a chance at an upset here, but I think they're going to get torched. Vancouver's been playing well all season, 20 games over 500. JT Miller, I think he's going to go for the old hat trick. 7-2, Canucks and the over.
Yeah, I totally agree there. I don't think the Blackhawks have a chance in hell. Canucks over. Let's go 7-2. Let's run it back, dude. Next game, final one of the night. We're here 10:30. As I mentioned, West Coast games here. The Kings are hosting the Sharks. It'd be nice to know that tomorrow the Sharks are on the back-to-back, by the way. But we do have the Kings here. They are at minus 380 in the Crypto.com arena. We know why. But Brian, what do you got here?
Yeah, give me the upset. Let's have a nice tight shootout here between the Sharks and the Kings. We'll tire them down for tomorrow against the Rangers. Kings spotty at home, only 8-8, and I know. Sharks 4-19 on the road. We get it, Tony. But Hurdle, the game winner. 30 seconds left in regulation. Sharks 5-4. So the Sharks and the over.
I'm gonna say give me the Kings. Obviously here, we're not going no cute upset or anything. Over-under's at 5.5 here, which is a little bit lower. I would say give me the Kings, and I'll take the over too. I would say Kings, I don't know, maybe 4-2, dude. Let's go.
Yeah. All right.
Just like that, dude.
So just like that, that is our hockey frenzy. So a decent amount of action here. And of course, looking forward to the Rangers getting back in action. Josh B was Ralph the Frenzy, the Chell
Frenzy, dude.
So yeah, an exciting time for sure. Still crickets in the world of baseball. You think we get something this week?
I don't know, dude.
No? Conventional?
I don't know.
Conventional will tell you no.
Yankees signing Blake Snell or what, dude?
I mean, it doesn't seem like the offers are popping off the page, but
right.
I think the whole thing is. By the way, was that an over and under for you there? I completely
over 5.5.
It wasn't over. Okay,
Kings,
gotcha.
Yeah. 5.5 seems low. I mean, even for even for
just
Sharks Kings,
you would think the Sharks will give up a lot of goals. Obviously,
yeah.
Maybe they're thinking they're not going to score many. But yeah, I think though we've seen with Boris though he's going to hold out for the money. And even if that ends up costing his client money, but I think he's going to hold out Snell. It's going to probably go into spring training based on what we've seen. I mean, maybe things change, but the only reported offer was the Yankees at 6 years and $150 million.
I think that's a pretty solid offer, dude.
Yeah, but I guess he
years?
wants 200.
Well, geez, dude, end your career as a Yankee. Why wouldn't I feel like Blake Snell would just take that?
Yeah, he should, but he's not right now.
How do you feel about the offer though? Are you down to have Blake Snell?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. if I'd want to go too much further than that, maybe meet him in the middle. But I don't think he's a $200 million pitcher. What do you think about the Hader move?
Oh wow, dude, totally forgot about that.
Yeah,
That's
5 years, $95 million to the Astros.
That's all. I mean, good for the Astros.
Mhm.
I feel like Josh Hader. I mean, he's definitely worth that much money. And then in terms of the Astros, pitching, I feel like they struggle with injuries, right? Lance McCullers is out for a while. Who else? Dude, another bullpen, the big bullpen piece got injured last season. I forget.
Yeah,
who.
I forget.
And nonetheless,
Neurice is a
dude.
free agent.
Nonetheless, they certainly. I mean, that's gonna be a huge improvement for their closer. Who was their closer last year? Do you remember?
I kind of think it was Neurice.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, Presley, but he wasn't that great.
Yeah, dude. So I think that's huge. 5 years, $95 million.
I mean, but just a couple years
dude.
ago, we saw Hader struggle. Obviously, it was lights out last year. I just think 29 years old. I have a hard time thinking they're gonna get more than one season like they did last year. I don't know if they get that, and I think tail end of that contract could come back to bite. But obviously, they're just hoping next year. It makes a huge difference, and for their sake, I'm sure they're hoping to get back to the World Series. So I think it's a good move, but I think the contract will prove to be a little rich. And you see, I mean, there's some ugly numbers there mixed in, so
there are some ugly numbers mixed in there, but I don't know. I mean, I think if he resembles anything like 2020, 2019, I mean, it's going to be freaking great, dude.
Yeah.
And like you said, last season was just
crazy.
It was actually crazy, dude. 1.28 ERA.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Yankees have been some rumors, maybe Peralta and Middleton coming back. Some people I think are concerned bullpen wise. Me and Josh B were texting about it last week. There is some resistance to Holmes as the closer, but you look at the numbers. He's been great since coming over from Pittsburgh, and obviously August was unkind to him. The blow up in Miami, which pretty much eliminated the Yankees from the playoffs, started that big losing streak, and was the difference, obviously, in how the season went. But I think Loaizaga is a good option as well, and you just have to kind of let things play out. But Holmes' stuff is definitely nasty. So, and I think I would rather go with him than pay for a closer. Plus, you have to think about future contracts. Next year, would I rather have the Yankees have Josh Hader or have an extension with Juan Soto? So I think the Yankees have proven that, they don't need to invest $100 million in the bullpen, that internally they can fill those positions. They got a good reliever. I forgot the name. Might have been Rodriguez from the Dodgers in the Trey Sweeney deal.
Nice.
Matt Blake, I'm sure he could develop him somewhat. So, I feel pretty good, but I would like to add, some bullpen, maybe a starter. Let's see what happens. And obviously I know you're earning for something monumental with the Mets, but I think not expecting it at this point.
I mean, I don't know, dude. I guess not.
Yeah.
Monty?
Bellinger
wants a lot of money.
Cohen, though. What happened? Why is he being cheap?
I don't know.
Is it Stearns? Is it Cohen?
I don't know, man. I mean, I really cannot think that Cohen this year was like, hey, I want to step it back a little bit. There's no way, dude.
But why? I don't know. It just seems like it's ever since he's been here, it's just very difficult to get pen to paper. I don't know, again, if it's part of like people not wanting to sign with the Mets in general.
Right. I mean, I'm sure that could be it. I mean, a lot of these players seemingly are shopping around and being kind of tough in terms of being flexible on what they want.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things. Dude. Oh, well, you want me? I'll take 35 somewhere else, but you want me $50 million a year for you.
Yeah. Right? You think Cohen kind of dug himself that little bit of a hole?
I don't think it's so much about that. And I think that's in the back of the mind. But I'm saying I think it's just the fact people are nervous. I mean, what's this going to look like? Are we going to be a competitive team? The pedigree there with the Mets is tough.
So you think maybe Cohen and Stearns doing a bad job at selling their team for players to come?
I mean, I think right now, just because, I mean, you're a fan. I mean, what is the vision? right now?
I don't know what the vision is.
Well, that's the
why I'm
problem.
upset. Yes, that is a huge problem, dude. It seems like that they don't want to be, not that they don't want to be, but they're expecting to now be competitive, within 2 or 3 seasons, But we'll see, dude. I mean, I don't even want to think about what the team would be looking like in 3 years.
Yeah. So, a lot hinges on the rest of this offseason, how this season goes, and what they do with Alonso, how the prospects develop. So a lot of stuff, Tony, to watch out for. Mendoza, the Yankee way. So
Shut up.
but we'll see what happens. But nevertheless, a great Monday show today. After a great night at the Horseshoe last night. So if anybody didn't catch that out, it is available on the archives on the YouTube page.
It was a great show.
It was a great show, great time. Shout out Horseshoe, of course. But where you will find Tony, Michael, Renee, and Jay costume merch, downtimetv.com. Want everybody to enjoy the day, enjoy the games, and we will see you mañana.
Hey guys, Tony here from Downtime TV checking in. I want to thank all our fans out there who's been liking, subscribing, sharing our content. You guys are the best. You guys are our bloodline. You make us love what we do. Thanks again.